Hi, good evening, Vikram. Hope you're well.
Hi Lokesh. Thanks. Yes, all good. I hope the same for you.
Yes, so very welcome to this session of Thought Space, and I know there is some great work happening from an Ikigai perspective that you are driving, and I'm sure that is there's a lot to talk about it. But just to introduce Vikram to the audience first, and Vikram has been a marketing and strategy professional, and he worked in several organizations driving marketing and strategy and in different spaces, the FMCG, the automotive, and so on and so forth. And there has some initiatives and interventions he has driven over time. And I'm sure as we speak, we'll benefit from that expert Vikram carries. Also about practically implementing something like Ikigai, which is so amorphous in shape in that sense. So really look forward to this dialogue, Vikram, today.
Thanks. Same here, Lokesh. Look forward to it. Thank you for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. I'm equally excited because I think Ikigai, while we all know of this term and understand this, I think many of us connect to it from a purpose point of view, maybe even before that. And I'm glad to see that it's in sync with maybe what I also believe in, not only in my personal life but also in professional life. So happy to be
Yeah.
here and share my thoughts. Thanks, Lokesh.
And yeah, I'm also witnessing that for last so many months, and every occasion is an occasion of deepening that understanding of Ikigai and how it actually works from an individual, from a team, from an organizational perspective. So, okay, without because we are in a short learning session here, and I think one of the primary objectives is for the audience to understand this whole phenomenon in a more practical manner. If you can talk to us about your experiences with Ikigai, how you got closer to this whole field, and how you got uh, attracted to this, and how it helped you bring change. So, tell us about stories and experiences that have drawn you closer to your own Ikigai, maybe.
Sure. No, thanks, Lokesh. That's a real big question, and it can actually take me back right from the start of my maybe professional journey. But as I think about it, and as all of us are witnessing the last few years of what the pandemic has all thrown us in, I think everyone has realized that there is a very deep meaning of purpose for all of us to be here on the planet Earth, right? We all have a work life, we all have a personal life, but I think there is
Correct.
something which is beyond what we work for or what we live every day, that keeps us inspired and motivated. I think while I'm very grateful to have worked in so many organizations, and each of those organizations had a purpose, and had a calling as to what the organization wanted to do. And I think I've always been inspired by that, whether it is about, you know, let me talk about my some of the earlier organizations, which was Castrol, let's say on Keep Moving. How do you move the world? And what happens around in the organization to keep that purpose in the center of everything that they do, to anything which is about Colgate, which is about bringing smiles to people and what can you do about it, to my present organization, Mahindra. Very fortunate to have worked both on the auto side and now on the farm side. Auto
That's
is
right.
all about helping people experience and bring the adventure in them to go out and explore their inner potential. And now the farm sector, which is a very do good sector in itself, because you're working with the farmers, you are working for the farmers, and you want them to succeed and prosper. And the very belief that Mahindra has in terms of the rice philosophy, I think it gets very beautifully address with the purpose of the farm sector, which is transform farming and enriching life. And I think what really resonated with me from the Ikigai concept point of view is that, you don't have to have a calling in life which is sitting outside your professional life.
Right.
Ikigai is all about, like we read in the book, it's about, what is your passion? What are you good at? What can you be paid for? And of
Yes.
course, what this world needs. And, if all of this comes together as your Ikigai and your Ikigai becomes your work, then I don't think you have to ever retire in your life, because you are enjoying and you are in the flow all throughout. And that is very, very inspiring because imagine an organization where everyone's individual Ikigai is connected to the larger organization's purpose and Ikigai. They can perhaps create magic. And that's exactly what was very inspiring for me when I looked at our purpose, and when we discussed internally in the organization, and our president spoke about how can we get everyone excited about the purpose, and this whole Ikigai concept came to life. And I think that's been the journey. I have personally experienced it myself, when I've interacted with people, the kind of stories
Yeah.
that you hear from them, people who actually come from the farming background and today are working for the organization, and they understand a farmer mindset, their challenges, and they come up with much better solutions, which you and I perhaps cannot, even fathom. And that's the
Right.
beauty of, someone living a purpose which is their own purpose and which is in sync with the organization purpose. I think this is what has been very exciting and has pulled me more into the Ikigai, and in whatever possible way in the organization, if we can drive it, and there's a lot happening, maybe I'll speak a bit more about it, has been my journey so far, Lokesh.
Wonderful. I think that's quite inspiring, and I think you put it so well. This is a complicated concept at times, but uh, you don't need to retire. I think that experience of flow and that experience of something that you're contributing to, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a big proposition, right? It is your
Yeah.
day-to-day work that excites you, and I think that is the beauty of it. And that inspires people, that activates people's intention, and I think that is where, and the kind of work and sector that you are in, I think nothing more nobler than that to enable the whole community, almost more than 50% of this country, to something which is more meaningful to them. I think
Yeah, just
that,
imagine.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Everything else came to a standstill in the pandemic times, but the food on your table, was
always,
always there and in abundance, right? So you can
yeah,
imagine the importance of this sector, and at the same time how fulfilling it is for you to feel that you are part of it and you are enabling it.
enabling it, absolutely. And that is the joy, that is the fun, and I'm sure everybody in the farm sector feels this way. And I also know some great stories, of course, but uh, as you start journey, tell us more stories, how they actually,
Sure.
kind of about, you listen to yourself, maybe got fired, and others stories, both from professional perspective and of course the act of what changed maybe personally, because I know this, when you undertake this journey, something changes in you as well, right? So
Yeah.
talk to us about these phenomenon.
Okay. No, so thanks, Lokesh. So, if I have to talk about my personal story, in the pandemic times is when I came onto this side of the business on the farm sector. And, when I started making my field trips and going out in the villages and meeting farmers and seeing the happy state of mind that they are in, I think there was a immediate connect to, that there is something that is so profound, yet so simple in the way that they're actually living their life. And they believe in simplicity, they believe in putting in their best, and I think they're always striving to make themselves better and learn from others. So there is humility, at the same time there is self confidence that we can do stuff. And I can tell you that while farmers are today a rare community, and we want more and more people to actually come into this profession. I met one farmer, actually in Chandrapur, and this was during one of our my visits for rice transplanters. And rice transplanter is actually a machine and equipment which actually helps farmers, put the saplings of paddy into the field, helps them deliver a much better produce output. And I met a farmer who was not educated, who perhaps didn't have all the qualifications to actually adopt technology. But the pride with which he spoke to me about how he is looking at his profession, how he is not only helping himself in terms of improving his output, his yield, but the village, he was the only one who was actually having that rice transplanter in that village. The village was looking at him to how he can help them, maybe even make just nurseries for them which they can help, then take it back to their field. And I realized that he had the pride in him that I am not just successful for myself, but I am actually creating value for others who may not have this knowledge. And the irony of it is, I met in the same village actually a teacher who's knowledgeable, who has the ability to actually adopt new techniques. And he perhaps was not doing this, and he was looking up to this farmer. And that just told me that if there is a positive dissatisfaction in you of solving a problem, and then when you are in the flow to actually solve it, you actually make it much bigger than what you even think, and it becomes your purpose, and you start influencing a larger community around you. And you'll not believe, Lokesh, he took me around 30 kilometers away to his field. He was so proud of it that he showed me what he does and how he does it. And I think
Wow.
that was a real moment of seeing Ikigai in action for me. And I said that if I can help more farmers to actually see how rice transplanters can help them convert, into a much more fulfilling life, enriched, life, it's something that I will take from this farmer's experience and learning. And believe you me, that's the conversation I am currently having as part of the team of what can we do to actually make people understand the benefits of rice transplanter, bring such of these stories in front. And I think that has been very moving for me. Internally, when we had this Ikigai as a workshop kicked off, we've heard stories of people who were farmers right from their childhood. They didn't have
Yes.
education, but they had the will to do something different. They went on to do, I have a colleague of mine who actually today is a state head, and he comes from a farming background, and he took it upon him that he's going to serve back the farming community to help them get transformed. Today, he is going out there with pride, not only just selling solutions, but he's appointing farmers as dealers so that he can bring them into the whole chain of, actually helping the others in terms of transforming. And amazing stories in the product development that we have done. Code, which is one of the most recent launches, is actually first in the world of a solution for the horticulture. Someone felt the pain of the farmer, spent time with them, came back with products which were not successful, which perhaps had a lot of hit and trial done. But today it is beginning to see that you can actually create a revolution in the horticulture market, because this is a product which you've never done before. And when I hear the stories of the people who worked on it, you can say that they were almost like thinking like Kisan, and this maybe Kisan as a concept is actually come from hearing the stories that when you really put yourself in the shoes of your customer, you actually are able to solve much more. And there are many, many such stories, Lokesh, that has been inspiring me. And now, of course, as an organization, we are taking it forward.
Yeah, I think this immersion is such a good thing, right? So you don't do things transactionally. You are always thinking of the social good, the good of others, the how do something that I have which has merit also passes on to others, and I think that brings to life the whole. I think this transforms the experience, right? So it is no more transactional in that sense. A lot of jobs and work we have seen in corporate, we have experienced it ourselves in many of the work or work styles or things that we did maybe in our own past, which becomes so transactional and meaningless.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
absolutely.
think,
In fact,
yeah,
our other organization, which is Swaraj, in
yes,
fact, their people with pride say
yeah,
that made for farmers, made by farmers, right? And Mera Swaraj.
yeah,
And when you really speak to the people there, they could be from any field. They could be from HR, they could be from, product development, sales, marketing, but all of them have the pride of being or knowing a farmer and hence coming up maybe with a solution like that. And I've seen that in my other organizations as well. When you are closest to the consumer, you
right,
are really able to then see things in a very different way. You start pushing yourself that why can't I solve this problem? Why can I not find a solution to which has been there for a long time? And that only happens when you become a little hungry, you become a little dissatisfied with yourself, that have I
true,
given enough? And I think that's what Ikigai is telling us all about.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's about hunger. It's about hunger to do better. It's about attending, right? So it's about and I myself come across I think some of the greatest things. I think, and that also says that nobody in the organization, wherever they are, should have more than 1 degree of distance from the customer, right? So
Correct.
because the moment you feel the customer, you automatically get attuned to the problems. It's actually in the distance that, when you are distanced from the reality, that's when and that's not so much of a professional problem, it's much of the connection problem actually. And the moment we actually help people establish that connect, things change. And that's so well seen in the whole context also. I think moving on to another question from a leadership experience perspective, of course, Mahindra is a vast organization, and so were all the organizations that you worked in the past. And there is leadership styles. There are so many people. There are different organizations within organizations. How does this whole leadership experience shape when you start talking about ikigai, and how does this translate to masses? So,
No, great
shall
question,
we
Lokesh. Because, yeah, it could be a great thought, but it can get lost if it is not implemented or is taken to the rest of the organization. And I think I am again very fortunate that, as I said, our president was very, very keen to see that how do we actually make every employee of our organization, and we are a vast farm sector, right? 3,500 people actually live the purpose, connect with the purpose from their own perspective of the function that they come from, and partner and complement other team members so that together, we can deliver on the larger organization purpose. So it started by actually they themselves experiencing Ikigai. We created experiential workshops, you've been part of them. And that's where we brought people to live the Ikigai principles, to know when do they feel great about what they have done in the past, and then connect it to what can we do for the future in the context of the farmer, and what are the roles that they can play. And I think some of the ideas that came from them is so inspiring, and they connect back to the purpose of the organization. And that's where I think everyone felt very, very heartened about that. We need to really make this work bottom up. It's not something that it's not a broadcast of a communication or of something that, okay guys, here is something we are starting, you all have to do it. I think it was about creating these ikigai moments in everyone. We are on a journey. We are going to be doing almost 175 workshops, right? Where every individual is going to be involved. And the leadership has brought in the focus to say that let these ikigai experiences drive them towards delivering to the larger organization purpose. And a purpose, unless not delivered through strategy, is just a statement on a PowerPoint or on your office boards. But here is an attempt being made where every individual across the organization is going to connect themselves to the purpose. And that itself, if I look at some of the ideas that are coming, are showing that how we can get better in actually delivering solutions to our farmers. And there are lots of thoughts and ideas coming, and leadership is completely involved and behind in making this happen. So I'm pretty excited by the fact that it's walk the talk right from the leadership team. And as we are seeing that more and more people are experiencing what is ikigai, it's also making them feel a little more enriched in their own professional and personal
Yeah.
life, that what they can do. So I think it has got lots of benefits, not just professionally but also personally. You feel happy, and that's what I think the people from Japan, they
Yeah.
feel happy longer, and they live longer. So I think it's all going to fall in place according to me, in a very similar manner.
Yeah, and I think some of the inspirational aspects is Mahindra is a great company. Of course, farm sector, biggest market share, profitability, and some of the business parameters may probably be the best in the industry globally, not just in India. Yet, that concern in the stories is not prominent. Concern is the connection or the contribution that you make back to the society or to the farmer, and that is what is so heartening to listen to. Of course, business is there and business has to run well, but when people connect to that contribution that they are making back to the farmer, to the farming society, to the society at large, I think those and probably that was seen across, right, across the leadership team, and that is something which is really of value. That is what creates companies like Mahindra. And I'm sure this will become a movement shortly, the Maybe Kisan, which is written over there. Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, ever since we started this, the kind of emails that people have shared with us about their Maybe Kisan stories,
Hmm.
I think we have heroes across the organization, across functions that we need to celebrate. And as we are looking at ikigai going forward, the actions that people are actually taking it upon themselves that they would want to do. And we haven't asked them to say that you're going to be monitored for this, or there's going to be a KPI check on it. This is your own personal statement of what you think you can contribute, which will connect back to the organization and to your fulfillment at the job. And we've been getting some great responses. And the best part is everyone in the organization is looking at the purpose together. It's like the story that someone spoke about. When you ask the janitor at the NASA, uh, what are you doing? So he says, I am sending the man to the moon, right? And I think that's exactly what we are seeing, a transformation happening here, which is about what are we doing. We are actually finding a way to get, if transform the farming, enriching the lives of farmer, one farmer at a time, but not letting go of that purpose that we have. uh, to give you an example, someone has taken an ikigai action knowing that not many people want to pursue farming, especially, let's say, farmers children. A person from HR, let's say, speaks about that I am going to go and visit all the institutions, engineering colleges where farmers' kids are studying and tell them that what a great career you can make in the farm sector, how technology is coming in, how there is a great startup culture that is there, and there is so much that you can actually do. It's not just about hard work in the fields, but it's smart work now. And I think that's a great way to say that I'm going to help the passionate people to come back into the sector, to promote. And like that, we've got examples from finance sector, from different, sales and product is always easy.
Absolutely.
But I think it's the connect that the other functions are making to the purpose, which makes it that much more powerful.
And I think one of the things that I observe through your stories is that they're all action driven. They
Yeah.
are not up in the air 30,000 feet, right? There's something which can be done. I will visit. I'll go. I'll do this, and I will make sure that I get up in the morning and get excited to do this. So that's the beauty of it. In one last question, actually, in terms of now, as we go to the masses, movements are driven by actions, concrete things, and I think this is also this what you were saying also relates to it in certain way. But how do we make this movement concrete and make people take actions where they are and in their own way contribute to enriching lives from the context of this exercise, of course, but also in general, your thoughts on concretizing and bringing something to manifested reality rather than being keeping it up in the air.
So I think first and foremost is that everyone needs to reflect upon themselves in terms of what brings them joy, right? And happiness, for example, is a state of mind. It's not about possessing something. It's not about finally achieving something. It's about how do we stay in that state of mind throughout our life. Now, I do believe that, I have worked across industries and categories, and it's not necessary that I have to change my purpose to, because I'm now in a new industry, but I align myself and my purpose to the organization purpose, for example, to actually make it more fulfilling. Like, I love solving and creating solutions to those problems, and I would always want to be closest to the consumer, and then offer my expertise, my experience in solving issues, and that gives me real joy. Today, I'm doing this in the farm sector, and I'm sure I will continue to do it in whatever I do going forward. That is one thing that I would urge people to think about. What is it that they get joy? What is it that they are good at, right? And what is it that they will feel really that they have moved a needle in the world, which is perhaps a bit of a concern that they can address. You don't have to aim for the moon, you don't have to think big, you have to just keep moving the needle slowly. It can be, by the way, your hobby as well. So
True.
if you don't find it in the professional life, I would say find something in the personal life as well. I draw upon my running experience, which is my own, in a way, an ikigai, which is helping me push and do things beyond what I think. And that helps me at the workplace as well. It gets me in the flow. It helps me stay in the flow of, doing things which is not so easy, but still do it. And those are the challenges you will get, the whole wabi sabi concept,
Yes.
that it is an imperfect world, and that's the perfect way of looking at it. Never you will have all the resources, the time, the skills, and everything. Embrace imperfection, embrace uh, learning as a continuous journey, and keep contributing to something that you believe is a larger cause than just doing work. I think is a way to actually live ikigai, and that's the message that I would give, Lokesh, for everyone to look at.
Thank you
How
so
they
much.
can take it forward.
I think that is very inspiring. And I think just adding my two bits to that, experience is from a collective perspective somewhere. When the jobs become automatic, thinking becomes automatic, you naturally move away from the ikigai. And I think two important things from the point of view of bringing that attention is that reflectiveness you spoke about. How do we make people think about what can be better and how they can solve for things, or how they can be drawn to pursue their interests. So that moral reflectiveness and conscientiousness, that thought of
Yeah.
doing something better, critically examining, looking at things, I think this is the frame of mind. If we can get people to, then possibly we also don't need any kpis to manage businesses. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so I think these are this is an important conversation. I think so we are at the end of time with our questions. So thanks for your time today. And uh, anything else you want us to take away from here? It will be wonderful to listen to and take away.
No, thanks, Lokesh. Thanks for the opportunity. I think, like you summed it up well, I think being in the moment and practicing mindfulness is, I think, very important virtue of this ikigai. If you can continue to feel hungry to do something better and more than what where you are, I think you will always be in a good, happy state of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Always something to look forward to.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. I think that was wonderful. Uh, we will catch up again soon on some other context or this context. See you
Thank
later.
Thank you, Lokesh, for the opportunity. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Bye bye.
Bye. मैं भी किसान.
मैं भी किसान. Yeah.